Ladies and gentlemen, you've been looking in the mirror, but you've been seeing a lie. You've seen wrinkles and worry, scars and silence, disappointment dressed as a face. You've been searching for a sign, and all this time, the mirror was waiting for a voice. Not the voice of shame, not the voice of fear, but the voice of truth, the voice of God speaking through you. That mirror is not a glass reflection. It is a spiritual door, and when you speak the word into it, it opens. Not just to show you your face, but to reveal your destiny. I say to you now, the mirror has never been about appearance. It has always been about authority. The reflection does not tell you who you are. You tell the reflection who you are. That is the law. The mirror is obedient. It reflects what you expect. It echoes what you declare. It confirms what you confess. And if you continue to speak as a victim, as a beggar, as one forgotten by heaven, the mirror will nod and show you more of the same. But the moment you shift, the moment you speak from spiritual identity instead of fear, the mirror bows. You do not need to chase affirmation from the world. You don't need someone else to tell you you're powerful, worthy, radiant, chosen. You have the divine right to declare it and see it reflected back. I have said it before and I say it again. The body is the battleground of belief, and your mirror is your altar. Most people dress their bodies, but never dress their beliefs. They check their face, but never command their future. They look at what is but never declare what must be. And that is why nothing shifts. But you were called to something higher. If you are watching this, it is not by accident. It means your soul has grown tired of waiting. It means your divine memory is awakening. It means heaven is knocking not from outside your life, but from inside your own voice. Hear me now. There is one sentence when spoken from the Spirit that will change the reflection. One sentence that will cause the face you see to shift, the atmosphere to glow, the identity to rise. I will give you that sentence. But you must understand the law first. Because if you speak it without knowing who you are, the mirror will reject it. The word must be rooted in identity to have power. That is why I do not give you slogans. I do not teach affirmations as bandages. I teach you to speak from the Spirit. I teach you to awaken the I am, not the I hope. I teach you to stand in front of that mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and say with full spiritual voltage, God in me is speaking through me, and every word I declare is already fulfilled. But before we arrive at the sentence, we must tear down the old ones. What sentences have you been repeating in silence? This is just how I look. This is as good as it gets. I can't change now. I'm too old, too late, too tired, too forgotten. Beloved, those are not sentences. Those are spells. And the mirror has obeyed them faithfully day after day. You want change. Break the spell. Interrupt the rhythm. Speak something the reflection has never heard before. I do not care what the world has said. I do not care what the numbers show. I do not care how long it's been or how heavy your yesterdays feel. All that matters is what you speak now, because now is the moment of power. Now is the moment of resurrection. Now is the moment the reflection begins to shift. So say this with me, not as practice but as prophecy. This mirror is not a reflection. It is a revelation. It shows what I say. It reveals who I believe I am. I speak now from divine mind, and what I speak shall appear. You are not powerless. You are not waiting for permission. You are not at the mercy of what the mirror shows. You are the voice that gives the mirror its script. And now we begin. I say this to you now not as metaphor, but as spiritual law. When you look into the mirror, you are looking into the face of God cloaked in your form. And until you recognize that, the mirror will remain a place of fear. It will mock you with your past. It will reflect the sentences you've spoken in secret. And it will confirm the identity the world gave you unless you speak otherwise. The mirror is not a vanity. The mirror is not a tool for makeup or grooming. It is a spiritual X-ray, revealing the dominant pattern of your belief. You may think you're seeing your cheekbones, your jawline, your skin. But you're not. You're seeing your words made visible. Your affirmations, your complaints, your doubts, your declarations, all gathered in one place, staring back at you. The law is this. The outer face always reflects the inner faith. So many people ask, why does nothing change? I answer with a question of my own. What do you keep telling the mirror to repeat? The mirror is not creative. It does not innovate. It does not originate. It simply responds. It responds to the sentence beneath your breath. It responds to the internal script you rehearse while brushing your teeth. And if that script is laced with shame, unworthiness, guilt, aging fatigue, then that is what the mirror will reflect. But when you return to the truth that you are the image and likeness of the Most High, that you were spoken into existence by the same word that framed the universe, then you stop letting the mirror tell you who you are. You begin to tell it. You begin to teach your reflection to remember. God is not outside your life watching from a distance. God is within the mirror waiting for recognition. The image you carry is not random. It is divine architecture. Your eyes were designed to radiate vision. Your mouth was formed to deliver decree. Your spine was shaped to stand in dominion. Every line in your face carries the memory of eternity. And every time you stare without speaking, you dishonor the image. You are not your reflection. You are the voice that gives the reflection power. And when you speak, the reflection must obey. This is the law of reflection. Not superstition, not surface-level manifesting, but bold divine command. Do you remember the burning bush? When Moses asked for a name, God replied, I am that I am. The holiest name, the most potent truth. And every time you say I am, you invoke it. Every time you look in the mirror and say, I am tired, I am stuck, I am broke, I am ugly. You have taken the name Lord in vain, not by profanity, but by false declaration. Because the God within cannot be limited by your temporary feelings. So I teach you now, redeem the mirror. Reclaim your image. Retrain your mouth to align with divine truth. Look directly into your own eyes and say, God is in this face. God is in these eyes. God is in this voice. This mirror no longer shows what the world has named me. It shows what heaven remembers about me. This is not delusion. This is not pretending. This is prophesying. And the mirror bound by spiritual law will begin to reflect God back to you. Not because you forced it, but because you finally recognized it. You are not just speaking to a reflection. You are speaking to a reflection of the infinite. Let this be the new foundation. Let this be their new daily revelation. Say it again. As I look into the mirror, I see not flesh but divine frequency. I see not shame but sacredness. I see God in the glass. I speak and He answers. And that is the law. Most people do not fear the mirror because of how they look. They fear the mirror because of what it knows. The mirror does not lie. It holds no social mask. It offers no polite distraction. It is the last place on earth where the soul has no disguise. And so they look, but they do not see. They glance, but they do not gaze. Because somewhere deep within, they know. The mirror remembers. It remembers what you've said in secret. It remembers the vows you made in fear. It remembers the day you gave up on your voice. The moment you accepted a lesser name. The season you stopped praying because nothing seemed to move. The mirror remembers who you were before you became cautious, agreeable, tamed, and that memory burns. So you cover it with foundation, with detachment, with self-deprecating humor. You cover it with busyness, with comparison, with scrolling. But every morning, when your eyes meet your own, there is that split-second flicker, the flash of truth, the ache of something forgotten. And that's why they fear the mirror. Not because it shows them the truth of their face, but because it shows them the betrayal of their voice. You were born speaking, not in language but in presence. The infant does not explain. It declares. It does not beg, it expresses. It does not check to see if it is lovable. It simply lives as it videos. But something happened along the way. The mirror became a measuring stick, a test, a torment. And so the voice began to shrink. The mouth stopped declaring and started apologizing. The eyes stopped shining and started searching. And what once was a holy altar became a source of silent dread. They avoid the mirror because it is the one place the performance breaks. I have seen women afraid to take off their makeup, not because of lines or pores, but because without the costume they might remember their soul. I have seen men who cannot meet their own gaze, not because of weakness, but because they were taught never to feel. And if they did, they were told to hide it behind achievements. The mirror is where that mask cracks, and they fear the flood. But beloved, what if the mirror was never your enemy? What if it was your witness? What if it has been waiting day after day for you to return? Not to the version you built for survival, but to the voice you had before the world taught you fear. I tell you now, the mirror is not dangerous, but it is holy. And all holiness demands reverence. The mirror will not chase you. It will not flatter you. It will not soothe you. It waits until you are ready to speak. Not from the ego, but from the eternal. And when you do, it listens. If you've been afraid of the mirror, it's only because you've forgotten your authority. You thought it had power. But power belongs to the word. And when you remember that the mirror stops being a place of judgment, it becomes a place of genesis. You will look, you will speak, and the reflection will shift. But first, you must stop avoiding what only wants to reveal you. Say this with me. I do not fear the mirror. I am the one who gives it meaning. It cannot harm me. It cannot haunt me. It is here to serve the voice of truth within me. The moment you stop fearing the mirror begins to obey you. And when it does, you will never look at your face the same way again. There is no greater force in the world than the words spoken from divine authority. Not whispered in hope, not rehearsed in fear, but declared in truth. The word is not an accessory to your identity. It is the architect. It does not describe who you are. It designs who you become. And every time you open your mouth in front of that mirror, you are not observing reality. You are issuing orders to it. The spoken word is the original force. In the beginning was the Word, said the scriptures, and I have never ceased to marvel at the accuracy of that sentence. The word was not invented after creation. It was before it. It was the blueprint, the spiritual frequency that formed light, land, life, and law. And that same force lives in your mouth today. You do not repeat affirmations like a parrot. You declare them like a prophet. You do not speak just to feel better. You speak to create better. And what you create is not a mood, not a moment, but an identity. Every sentence becomes scaffolding, every word a brick. And over time, your entire sense of self is rebuilt. Not by effort, but by utterance. Most people try to change their lives by adjusting their behavior. They rearrange habits. They force new routines. They seek accountability partners to help them maintain appearances. But nothing permanent ever comes from the outer world. Because the outer world is just a mirror of belief. And belief, beloved, is built by repetition. What you speak most often becomes what you assume. What you assume becomes what you expect. What you expect becomes what you embody. And what you embody the world reflects without fail. I have said it before and I say it again. Identity is not discovered. It is spoken into form. You do not find yourself. You declare yourself. And if you've been repeating the sentence, I'm lost. I'm stuck. I don't know who I am. You are not describing confusion. You are reinforcing it. But the moment you say, I am divine. I am the voice of God. I am the resurrection and the life. You are not lying. You are returning. Returning to your original name. Returning to your divine pattern. Returning to the identity that was always yours, but had been buried under years of linguistic agreement with fear. And here is the miracle. When you speak that sentence clearly, consistently, and from a place of holy authority, your reflection begins to conform. The face changes. The posture shifts. The eyes begin to shine with memory. Not memory of trauma, but memory of truth. Because the body responds to word. The cells remember who you are. The voice reclaims its tone. The presence expands. This is not wishful thinking. This is divine neurology. Your words rewire your nervous system. They recondition your self-image. They realign your spiritual atmosphere. And once the atmosphere is changed, the outcomes must follow. So I say to you now, if you do not like who you see, do not attack the mirror. Change the sentence. Say, I am not what the world called me. I am not the past I survived. I am not the echo of someone else's fear. I am the living expression of God's word. I speak and I become. I declare and I am. Let these words rise from the core of your being, not as a recitation, but as resurrection. Speak until the false self dissolves. Speak until the mirror recognizes the divine. Speak until your voice becomes your identity. The word is the key. It unlocks the future. It silences the lie. It awakens the God within. And you, beloved, were born to speak it. Now we arrive at the moment where the invisible becomes visible, where the frequency becomes flesh, where the mirror, long obedient to fear and default identity, is summoned to reflect something higher, something holy. But I tell you, beloved, do not enter this part lightly. Do not repeat these words as a child mimics a song. This is not mantra. This is not magic. This is command. And the command must be spoken from within the throne room of your spirit. The mirror is not a listener of hope. It is a listener of certainty. You cannot plead with it. You must govern it. Because what you are about to speak is not merely for the mirror. It is for every cell in your body, every outcome in your field, every force of heaven that awaits your voice. You are not here to observe your face. You are here to name it, to crown it, to align it with truth. And this is what you say. God in me, speak through me now. I am not a body. I am not a history. I am the presence of divine power made visible. This face you see is no longer mine. It is a vessel for the voice of the infinite. As I speak, all of heaven responds. As I speak, my reflection rearranges. As I speak, my world obeys. Look yourself in the eye as you speak. Hold your gaze. Let the voice drop from the surface to the sacred. Do not perform. Do not impress. Do not rush. Just declare. I do not mirror the word. I mirror the word. I do not wait to be told who I am. I tell the mirror and it must reflect me. I speak now from the center of spiritual law, and I call forth my true name, radiant, whole, worthy, commanding, eternal. Do you feel the shift? That isn't emotion. That's realignment. That's spiritual memory unlocking the muscles of your face. That's divine recognition taking root in your tone. That's your reflection meeting your real self, perhaps for the first time. Continue. This is my face, but it is also the face of divine remembrance. No wrinkle can hide my worth. No scar can silence my power. No opinion can overwrite what God has already named. I am the I am in human form. I am not waiting for my life to change. I speak and it does. These are not affirmations. These are activations. They carry the frequency of authority. They send signal to the subconscious, to the mirror, to the unseen forces of life, and command reordering. Your reflection is not passive. It is a magnetic field takes shape through the word. Speak this aloud now. I take back my name. I take back my sight. I take back my voice. I take back the mirror. From this moment forward, it no longer reflects the world. It reflects the kingdom. I am that I am, and I will not forget again. And then, mirror, catch up. Let your face recalibrate. Let the energy settle. You've just issued new instructions to every atom in your atmosphere. You've sent orders to your finances, your voice, your future. Don't rush away. Sit in it. Feel it. Own it. And tomorrow morning, when you return to this mirror, don't ask how you feel. Don't check for change. Speak. Speak the same sentence. Speak it with conviction. Speak it until the reflection bows to the rhythm of heaven. Speak it until you no longer wonder whether it's working, because you've become the proof. One sentence spoken from divine authority, repeated with reverence, backed by law. This is how worlds shift. And the mirror, it has no choice. This is not performance. This is not self-help. This is spiritual legislation. The mirror becomes your courtroom, your sanctuary, your prophetic stage. And you, beloved, are the priest and the judge. The way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you speak, it all matters because every part of your posture either signals authority or reinforces submission to appearance. So I will not let you approach this ritual carelessly. There is a way to meet the mirror, a way that awakens heaven, a way that summons power, and it begins before you even open your mouth. First, stand tall, not with arrogance, but with memory. Let your shoulders roll back. Let your spine lengthen. Feel your feet root into the ground. This is not about being confident. This is about being present. The divine self does not slouch. It does not shrink. It does not beg. It remembers. So as you approach the mirror, approach it as if you were walking into a temple, because you are. Second, breathe, not shallow, not frantic, deep, even, deliberate. Inhale as if you're filling your whole being with light. Exhale as if you're letting go of every false name. Let the breath come from your belly, not your throat. Feel it settle you. This breath tells the body that something sacred is about to happen. Third, look into your own eyes. Not your flaws, not your forehead, not your weight, your eyes. That is where the soul meets the body. That is where the I am reveals itself. Hold your gaze even if it trembles, even if shame rises, especially if shame rises, because that's not shame. It's old illusion being burned off. Stay with it. Don't flinch. Don't look away. Keep your gaze or the fear begins to crack under the weight of your remembrance. Fourth, plant your feet. Do not sway. Do not lean. Do not shift your weight. Let both feet ground fully into the floor. You are not a reed in the wind. You are a tower of truth. And when you stand like it, and your body believes you, and when your body believes you, the mirror must follow. Fifth, raise your voice, not in volume, but in clarity. Speak the word not as a question, not a whisper, but as a decree. Every word must come from the belly of your being. Do not let the words float in the air. Let them ring with command. You are not hoping for change. You are ordering it. Every time you say I am, you are invoking heaven. So say it like someone who knows heaven is listening. Sixth, complete the ritual. Do not rush off. When the word has been spoken, pause. Feel the silence. Let the echo land. Let the mirror register what it has just heard. Because the mirror is not immediate. It is responsive. And after a true decree, it needs a moment to receive. Seventh, touch your heart. Yes. Place your hand over the chest. Feel the beat. Feel the center of your own power. Whisper the final line. It is done. As I have spoken, so it must be. This seals it. This completes it. This tells the body in the mirror that no further discussion is needed. The word has gone forth and it will not return void. And last, walk away in silence. Do not undo the ritual with idle chatter. Let the atmosphere remain sacred. Let your body carry the charge. You have just performed holy legislation. You have just rearranged your field. Do not dilute it by re-entering the world as a beggar. Leave the room as a carrier of dominion. This is how you meet the mirror. With presence, with posture, with breath, with gaze, with command, with closure, with reverence. When you practice this each day, something changes. First subtly, then irreversibly. The face begins to glow. The tone begins to shift. The air around you begins to thicken with alignment. You stop doubting. You stop asking. You simply speak. Because the mirror is no longer the place where you search for identity. It becomes the place where you issue it. And that, beloved, is power. Her name was Ruth. She came to me not with a crisis of circumstance, but with a quiet ache in her eyes. An ache I've seen 1,000 times. The ache of a woman who forgot her reflection was once divine. The ache of someone who had given away her name, her glow, her center. She said, Florence, I don't recognize myself anymore. I look in the mirror and all I see is failure, fatigue, and someone trying to survive. I said nothing. I simply handed her the sentence and told her, speak this every morning for 7 days, and do not whisper it. Declare it. Speak it until your cells catch fire. Speak it until the mirror forgets who it used to reflect. Ruth returned to the mirror the next morning and stood there, not with excitement, but with trembling, her mouth dry, her eyes darting. But she did as I instructed. She placed her feet on the floor like roots. She rolled her shoulders back like wings, and she looked herself dead in the eye and said, "I am not what I feel. I am not what I fear. I am the light of the living God in visible form. This face is sacred. This voice is law. I speak now and heaven moves." She told me later that after the first time, nothing seemed to happen. At least not on the outside, but something in her chest loosened, something uncoiled. On day 2, she cried. Not because she was sad, but because she was remembering. She said it felt like someone else was speaking through her. Someone stronger, someone ancient, someone holy. I told her, "That is your true voice. That is the I am that was buried under years of worldly naming." By day 4, her co-workers asked what makeup she had started wearing. She hadn't changed a thing, but her glow changed the room. Her posture softened. Her walk became slow and certain. She stopped explaining herself. She started answering without apology. And by day 7, her reflection no longer felt like a stranger. It felt like a homecoming. The most remarkable shift wasn't her face. It was her frequency. She stopped fearing the silence. She stopped avoiding the mirror. She began speaking into it as if it were a scroll, heaven unfolding the next sentence of her destiny. I asked her at the end of those 7 days, "What changed the most?" And she said, "I used to think the mirror was mocking me. Now I know it was always waiting for me to return. It wasn't judging me. It was listening. Beloved, the mirror is always listening. It is not loyal to your past. It is loyal to your word." And when Ruth began to speak, not from emotion, but from spirit, the mirror rewrote its memory. It no longer reflected a woman tired of pretending. It reflected a woman who had remembered she was holy, beautiful. Not because of youth, symmetry, or approval, but because she spoke the face of God into being. And so can you say this now? The mirror no longer reflects my history. It reflects my heaven. I speak and hears. I return and it rejoices. I no longer flinch. I declare, what Ruth did in 7 days, you can do starting today. The face you long for is already yours. It's not locked in a magazine or behind a filter. It's not waiting for permission. It's waiting for command. Speak and the face will follow. Because the mirror has no mind of its own. It mirrors the one who dares to remember they are divine. The average soul prays like a beggar and wonders why heaven seems silent. They cry out in desperation, lament, confusion, asking God to speak, to show up, to do something. But I tell you boldly and without apology, God does not speak to desperation. He speaks to dominion. For the voice of the infinite was never meant to be summoned through suffering, but through alignment with spiritual law. This is the law of response. It is written across every sacred text, every miracle, every fulfilled promise. And it is this: God responds to the word spoken in faith, not the word mumbled in fear. He does not override your will. He does not force his way into your silence. He waits, poised, ready, alert to echo back the tone of your own decree. Do you want to know why the mirror speaks back? Because when you speak into it with the authority of I am, you activate the divine image. And once activated, it must respond. You are not calling out into a void. You are calling into the kingdom within you. The God most people imagine as distant is in fact at the very edge of your tongue, in the breath between your ribs, in the frequency of every sentence you dare to speak. And this is why it matters what you say into the mirror. Because the mirror is not a piece of glass. It is a portal to the invisible. It reflects not only light but law. It carries within it the capacity to echo your highest name or mirror your lowest fear. And God, who is bound by his own law, will not violate your voice. If you speak lack, he cannot echo abundance. If you speak fear, he cannot echo faith. But the moment you say, I am divine supply, I am the resurrected self, I am the voice of spiritual law made flesh, you create a frequency into which he may pour his answer. And what does that answer feel like? It feels like a shift, a surge, a whisper that isn't quite a sound, but more like a knowing, a certainty that didn't come from logic, but from heaven itself. A sacred echo not from the world, but from within. He speaks not in human language, but in lawful reflection. He doesn't need to say you are loved. You speak, I am loved. And suddenly everything in your body, your mirror, your finances, your field begins to arrange itself as if that were true. That's his response. Alignment, reordering. When you speak truth, God reflects. When you speak fear, God remains silent because he cannot speak what is not of himself. So I say to you now, if you've been waiting for a voice from the sky, look again. The echo of God begins with your voice. He has always waited, not for your worthiness, but for your word. Because he cannot out-declare you. He cannot override your decree. But the moment you rise, the moment you stand, the moment you face the mirror and say with unwavering tone, God in me is now speaking through me. I am the mirror of divine supply. I am the answer I've been seeking. That moment he speaks back, not in English, not in thunder, but in law, in reflection, in result, in response. The law of response is not emotional, it is not mysterious. It is not reserved for the holy few. It is automatic, it is exact, and it is waiting right now for your voice to ignite it. Speak first. Speak with faith. Speak with flame, and he will answer. Because when you speak from the I am, God is already speaking. Once you have learned to face the mirror without flinching, once your voice no longer trembles before your own reflection, once your morning declarations have burned away the false self and crowned your identity in light, you are ready for the next dimension, the mirror of multiplication. Most people believe the mirror is passive, that it can only show what already is. But this is a half-truth. The mirror, when met in authority, becomes not a passive object, but an active multiplier of whatever you name within it. The word you speak there is not only reflected, it is magnified. Not only echoed, it is replicated. This is the hidden mystery of the divine mirror. It does not give back what you see. It gives back what you say. And it gives it back pressed down, shaken together, running over. But this kind of multiplication does not happen through casual recitation. It happens through conscious creation. The word must be seeded into the mirror with intention, with rhythm, with divine clarity. The more deliberate the seed, the more exact the harvest. Now I show you the sacred method. Stand before the mirror, not as a seeker, but as a sower. You are not here to admire the garden. You are here to plant the word. Fix your gaze on your own eyes and speak this. I speak now into the mirror of multiplication. I name what is mine, and it is returned to me multiplied. Now begin naming not what you hope for, not what you fantasize about, but what you are ready to govern. The mirror multiplies only what you can carry. So declare from readiness, not resistance. Say, my peace is multiplied. My provision is multiplied. My favor is multiplied. My divine timing is multiplied. My boldness is multiplied. My clarity, my clients, my contracts, my open doors multiplied. You do not ask. You do not wish. You say, and the mirror listens. Now complete the decree. As I speak, so it multiplies. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. The word I speak is law, and the mirror obeys. Breathe. Let the word settle into the field. This is not spiritual entertainment. This is divine transaction. You have now issued instructions in the substance of creation. The mirror receives them. The subconscious receives them. The quantum field receives them. And together they begin to conspire for your good. But hear me well. The mirror multiplies with no bias. If you return to it tomorrow with fear, doubt, or apology, it will multiply that. So do not retreat. Do not contradict. Do not mix seed with weeds. From this moment on, the mirror is no longer a place of questioning. It is your multiplication chamber. Speak wealth and it multiplies. Speak healing and it multiplies. Speak truth and it multiplies. Speak divine love and it cannot help but return to you in waves. And the most miraculous multiplication, your identity. Each time you speak, each time you plant, each time you decree, you are not just increasing your results. You are enlarging your selfhood. You are expanding the vessel, stretching the borders, becoming more able to receive the very reality you've declared. So tonight before bed, stand once more in front of the glass, dim the lights, silence the world. Look into your own eyes and speak with holy knowing. This mirror is not a reflection, it is a revelation. What I say now multiplies as truth, speed, supply, and glory. I am the harvest is mine. Then say no more. Smile, turn, and walk away. Not like someone who hopes it's working, but like someone who knows it already is. There are two versions of you in every mirror. One was given to you by the world. The other you must speak into existence. One was handed down through genetics, society, memory, and fear. The other is resurrected through rhythm, declaration, and the bold command of truth. And until you understand the difference, until you choose the spoken self over the inherited self, you will always live beneath your divine station. The inherited identity begins early. It is layered upon you through language, repetition, labels. You're shy, you're sensitive, you're not good with money. You're not like the others. These phrases repeated by unaware voices form the scaffolding of the false self. They are not evil. They are simply ignorant of law. And because you did not yet know how to reject them, you absorbed them. You wore them. You believed they were you. But I tell you now with sacred authority, identity is not what is passed down. It is what is spoken forth. You are not a victim of description. You are the author of definition. And the moment you open your mouth in the mirror and speak your divine name, not the one given to you by the world, but the one breathed into you by Spirit, everything begins to realign. The spoken identity is not fantasy. It is foundation. It is the original pattern encoded in the soul before the world got involved, and it can only be retrieved by voice. Not by journaling, not by wondering, not even by prayer alone. It must be declared. Because the moment you say I am, you are not describing yourself. You are commanding reality to mirror a new law. This is why the mirror matters. It is where the false self breaks. It is where the handed-down labels are burned off by flame. It is where you stop being what you inherited and start being what you intend. You do not owe loyalty to the person the world told you you were. You owe loyalty to the person the Spirit is calling you to speak. Let me say it plain. The inherited self is bound to cycles, The spoken self is bound to truth. The inherited self fears judgment. The spoken self issues judgment. The inherited self chases healing. The spoken self walks in wholeness. The inherited self is the story of survival. The spoken self is the story of creation. So I ask you now, whose face will you wear tomorrow? The one molded by memory or the one sculpted by decree? The mirror is neutral. It will honor whatever you choose. It has no agenda. It is faithful to your last instruction. So speak this now. I am not who they said I was. I am not the echo of family fear. I am not a college of inherited shame. I am the spoken word in form. I name myself now. And I return to my true image. When you speak your identity, heaven listens. The body aligns. The field obeys. And most of all, the mirror responds because you were never meant to inherit your face. You were meant to declare it. If you have listened this far, you already feel the quickening. The old voice is no longer as loud. The doubt has begun to fracture. The mirror has softened. But now comes the part most forget, the integration. You do not change the mirror once and expect the world to obey forever. You must renew your reflection, not with new clothes or compliments, but with the word. And so I give you this. The 3-day mirror reset, a divine experiment in alignment. A reprogramming of the field. A short but sacred challenge that returns your mind to its origin, your identity to its power, and your speech to its throne. For 3 consecutive days, you will look, you will speak, and you will align. That is all. But it will change everything. Day 1, identity reclaimed. Stand before the mirror, feet planted, shoulders back, gaze steady. Do not dress it up. No need for makeup or perfection. You are not looking at a face. You are looking at a portal. Speak this. I am not a reflection of history. I am the manifestation of the divine. I do not beg for identity. I declare it. I am power made visible. I am truth wearing flesh. I am the voice of God remembering itself, and I will not apologize for my authority. Repeat it slowly. Say it again. Say it until the cells vibrate, until the milled self retreats. Say it until the words become real. Not just sound, but substance. Day 2. Supply installed. Now return to the mirror. Same gaze, same stance, but this time you speak not to your image, but to the energy field behind it. The one that shapes reality. The one that governs flow. Say this. I am supplied by the law of divine circulation. As I speak, channels open. As I believe, resources move. Money does not make me. I command it. Clients do not validate me. I magnetize them. I am not working for supply. I am supply. My voice activates provision. My identity multiplies it and my mirror reflects it. Feel it. Let your jaw drop open to declare. Let your voice rise. This is not flattery. This is formulation. You are sculpting reality with frequency. Day 3, self-love restored. And on the 3rd day you return again. But this time, you do not speak to fix. You speak to reclaim the self you thought you lost. The warmth that was buried. The confidence that was traded for acceptance. Look yourself in the eye and speak. I love what I see. Not because it is perfect, but because it is named. I am not here to compare. I am not here to conform. I am here to remember. I am here to reign. I bless my own name. I cherish my own face. I hold my own gaze like royalty, and I will never again betray myself to belong. Close your eyes. Breathe. Touch your chest. Say, I return to myself. I return to the law. I return to love. And I return to the mirror, reborn. Do this for 3 days. Do not skip. Do not modify. Do not ask if it's working, just speak. For when you look, you recognize. When you speak, you restore. When you align, you multiply. This is mental reprogramming, not by effort, but by utterance. Because the soul was never broken, only the mirror was misused, and now it becomes your throne. Shall I now continue with part 12? The sacred return, the final night, and the face that answers back. Absolutely. This final part is the return to holy ground. The mirror is no longer glass. It is revelation, and recognition is the key. Hear me now, beloved. There is no shortage of good in your life. There is no lack of power, supply, healing, love, or divine solution. The only thing has ever been missing is recognition. For spiritual law states, God can only flow where God is recognized. And until you see Him, not in the clouds, not in the sky, but in your own face, the flow remains obstructed. Not by judgment, but by forgetfulness. The law of recognition is the law of permission. Whatever you refuse to honor, you block. Whatever you revere, you unlock. And the most overlooked altar in all creation is the mirror on your wall. You have walked past it, brushed your teeth in front of it, checked your hair in it, judged yourself through it, but rarely, so rarely, have you stood before it in holy recognition. That mirror is not an object. It is a gate to God. And it does not open by begging. It opens by naming. You must speak to it not as a problem, but as a portal, not as something to fix, but as someone to awaken. You must look into your own eyes and stop saying, "Why am I like this?" and start saying, "There you are. Holy One, I see you now, I remember your name." The I am is always there beneath the fatigue, the makeup, beneath the trauma, beneath the fear. He is not waiting to be summoned. He is waiting to be recognized. The moment you stop speaking to the symptom and start speaking to the spirit, everything begins to move. The gates swing open. The silence breaks. The divine current flows. Why? Because the mirror, when reverence, becomes alive. I have seen it. I have watched faces change. Not from surgery, not from makeup, but from recognition. I have watched the pine unclench, the spine rise, the tears fall. I have seen light enter the eyes like sunrise through stained glass. All because someone dared to speak not to the old self, not to the problem, not to the shame, but to the I am behind the face. Speak now, and speak it with flame. I no longer talk to fear. I no longer speak to doubt. I speak only to the I am. I speak to the God within. I speak to the fire behind the glass, and it answers me, because I have recognized it. This is the final law. The mirror becomes divine when you do. It reflects what you're willing to see. It multiplies what you're willing to name. It transforms the moment you stop looking for flaws and start looking for God. And when you do, when you truly, rhythmically recognize Him in you, the mirror is no longer a surface. It is a sacred veil torn open. And you will never be the same. Look again. You've passed that mirror 1,000 times and thought you were seeing truth. But you weren't. You were seeing fear with a face. You were seeing unhealed memory wearing your features. You were seeing the world's judgment, your family's shame, your own doubt wrapped in skin and calling itself you. But now I say to you with thunder in my voice, look again. That is not failure. That is not damage. That is not delay. That is form being prepared for greatness. That is a vessel being consecrated by the fire of identity. That is spirit remembering how to stand. You must stop seeing yourself as the aftermath and start seeing yourself as the assignment. You were spoken by God, formed by law, called by love. And now it is time to speak yourself into agreement with what God already sees. He does not look at you and see doubt. He sees a voice learning its authority. He does not look at you and see imperfection. He sees a throne, a temple, a name being restored. So I say this now, not as advice, but as command. Speak truth into the mirror until your own eyes agree. Not until your emotions change, not until your mood shifts, not until you feel ready, until your eyes bow to the word. That is the line. That is the measure. That is the moment of transfiguration. You say this is not lack. This is leverage. This is not brokenness. This is becoming. This is not rejection. This is realignment. This is not weakness. This is God in form remembering His name. And you keep saying it day after day, sentence after sentence, until the mirror bends, until the face begins to glow, until the critic falls silent, until your frequency is the only one that speaks. Now, here is your challenge. Not for ego, not for ritual, but for rebirth. For 7 days, face the mirror for 5 minutes each day. Set no timer. Bring no script. Bring only your gaze and your voice and speak. Speak until the old you flinches. Speak until the truth becomes louder than the memory. Speak until you see God staring back. 5 minutes, 7 days, one command. I see me now and I agree with God. Do not stop at inspiration. Do not wait for confirmation. Do not ask permission. Doctor the work and with admiration, but with alignment, not with compliments, but with kingdom, because the moment you face yourself as God sees you, everything else must face you differently to stand before the mirror. Don't prepare, don't pose, just stand. Are about to speak not as a student, but as a sovereign, not as someone doing affirmations, but as someone installing new law into the subconscious, the mirror, and the field itself. These are not cute phrases. These are encoded decrees. Speak each one with rhythm, with reverence, with rule. Let the tone match the throne you now sit on. Let the words build layer upon layer until the old self shatters under the weight of divine memory. Say the first one aloud right now. 1. I speak and I become. No hesitation, no debate. This is the law of identity. You are not waiting to be shaped. You are shaping. You are not searching for truth. You are speaking it into form. Let it burn. Let it rise. Now say to my mirror is my ministry. Not your punishment, not your enemy. Not your distraction, your ministry. Your altar, your portal. You are not just brushing your teeth there. You are rebirthing your being again. 3. I no longer flinch. I face. You do not shrink. You do not edit. You do not brace for and so you stand. You face. You remember? This is the stance of royalty reclaiming its name. Say 4. My mouth blesses my reflection. No more insults, no more critiques, no more subconscious curses. Your words are now the anointing oil on your own forehead. You bless what you see. Say this now slowly, clearly. 5. God and I share this face. Yes, let that settle. Let it shake the lies loose. Let it shatter the doctrine of distance. You are not a mistake. You are not separate. You are not abandoned. You share His image. You share His power. You share His face. Now decree 6. My eyes no longer lie. No more distortion. No more inherited shame. No more seeing yourself through the veil of memory. Your eyes are now prophets of truth, seers of glory, mirrors of God, and the final declaration, the seal, the crown, the commission. 7. I see glory. I speak glory. I walk in glory. You are no longer bound to effort. You are no longer tied to trauma. You do not wait for permission. You walk in what you've spoken. You carry what you've seen. Again, see glory. I speak glory. I walk in glory. One more time. I see glory. I speak glory. I walk in glory. This is your new rhythm. These are your new laws. And the mirror now knows exactly who stands before it. He wasn't weak. He wasn't confused. He wasn't even stuck. He was simply looking at the wrong version of himself. Every morning he would walk past the mirror half awake, half dreaming, fully burdened. The tie, the schedule, the obligations, they all fit like chains dressed up as duty. He had been faithful to the job, but the job had not been faithful to him. It paid his bills, but it robbed his boldness. It gave him routine but starved his soul. And for years he mistook safety for purpose. Until one morning he looked in the mirror and asked, almost out of breath, "Is this it?" And something within him whispered, "Not anymore." That day, he didn't scroll. He didn't rush. He didn't numb. He stood in front of the mirror and said nothing. Just stood 5 minutes silent, present. And the mirror, for the first time in years, began to feel different. Less like a wall, more like a door. The next day he returned, but this time he spoke. "I am not here to survive this life. I am here to govern it." That was all, one sentence. But it rang out like thunder. The air changed. His chest lifted and something in the mirror shifted. He did it again the next day and the next and the next. "My life is not theirs to define. I walk in divine assignment, not default employment. I speak boldness and boldness becomes me." And slowly fear began to die. Not all at once, not dramatically, but day by day he noticed. He was no longer negotiating with dread. The office emails no longer gripped his chest. The morning commute no longer felt like a funeral. And the most stunning shift, he began to see a different face. Not altered, but activated. His own eyes no longer looked uncertain. They looked sure. It wasn't magic. It was law. The mirror wasn't performing truth. It was performing truth. He kept declaring. 2 weeks became 3, then 4. And one morning, the fear was simply gone. Not because the job had changed, but because it had. He walked in. He submitted his resignation and he didn't flinch. No backup plan, no panic. Just peace. Just clarity, just divine timing. That afternoon, he stepped into the sun and whispered to himself, "I didn't leave because I hated the job. I left because I finally saw who I was." And the mirror, it never lied to him. It just waited for the word to rise. For weeks, it watched him doubt. Then it watched him declare. And when he finally spoke with authority, the mirror didn't just reflect him. It revealed him. At some point in your mirror practice, the glow will fade, the rhythm will falter, the words may catch in your throat, the voice may tremble, and the tears may come. This moment is not failure, it is fire. The mirror, when spoken into long enough, does not just reflect what you want to see. It reveals what must be faced. This is the mirror's mercy. Not to flatter you, but to free you. And it will do so by triggering what the world taught you to avoid. Resistance. The shame that rises. Bless it. It is not your enemy. It is memory coming to the surface to be written. The doubt that whispers, face it. It is not truth. It is echo. The tears that fall, let them. They are baptism. They are proof that something is moving. You do not walk away when the mirror trembles. You speak anyway. The resistance does not mean you're failing. It means you found the threshold, the precise place where the old voice dies and the new voice begins to form. This is ego death, not identity death. The lie fights hardest right before it crumbles. So when your voice shakes, you say, I speak even when it hurts. I bless myself even when the tears come. I stay even when shame bets me to leave. You bless the burning. You honor the undoing. You do not flinch. Why? Because Scripture has already prepared you for this moment. Though weeping endures for a night, joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. This mirror moment is the weeping, but the word you speak through it is the joy. The voice that refuses to retreat is the resurrection. This is where most turn away. This is where they say it's not working. But I tell you with divine clarity, this is when it's working most. When the tears fall and you still speak. When the old names rise and you still choose truth. When the mirror hurts but you hold your gaze. This is rebirth. So here is your instruction. When resistance shows up in the mirror, do not fight it. Do not numb it. Do not narrate it. Declare through it. Let your tears be the ink. Let your voice be the pen. Let your mirror become the scroll upon which new identity is written. Say this pain is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that the lie is dying. And keep going because the mirror will not abandon you. It will not betray you. It only waits for one thing, your word. And when you speak it through the resistance, the entire universe bows. There is a moment between night and morning, between waking and sleep where the veil is thinnest and the mirror becomes most alive. The world has quieted, the mind has softened, the ego is wary, and the soul stands ready to receive. This is the hour of activation, not of effort, but of essence. At midnight, you no longer wrestle to believe. You speak to become. So I give you this final instruction, not as ritual, but as remembrance. Stand in the dark and speak light. You do not need candles. You do not need music. You do not need mood. You need only your presence, your reflection, and your word. Let the room be dim. Let your face be barely visible. This is not about seeing your features. It's about summoning your frequency. Because what you say into the mirror at midnight, what you dare to declare in the absence of sight will shape what arrives with the morning before sleep. Do not scroll. Do not consume. Do not spiral. Stand face, speak say, I am not my fears. I am the flame that dissolves them. I rest in supply. I rise in dominion. My reflection is ready. My word is law. My morning is already forming. The mirror will not resist you. It has waited for this moment all day. For your distractions to fall, for your intellect to soften, for your spirit to ascend. And now when the world is most asleep, you become most awake. This is why Scripture says He gives His beloved sleep. Not just rest, but activation in rest. Because the words you speak at midnight are not wasted in silence. They work while you sleep. The fear you silenced, it dissolves. The identity you declared, it takes root. The vision you named, it begins its divine coordination before sunrise. So tonight, when the lights go out, don't close your mouth. Open it with fire and speak. I fall asleep as a vessel. I rise as a voice. My mirror remembers me. My word goes before me. And by morning all things begin to obey. Do this each night for 7 days. Just a few moments. You do not need effort. You need utterance because the darkness is not a delay. It is a whom. And what you speak into it returns multiplied. You've heard the stories. You've felt the tremble. You've watched the shift in your eyes. But now I bring you to the holy altar of mirror healing. Where disease is disarmed. Where fear unhooks from the flesh. where trauma loses its voice under the power of divine reflection. Do not let the simplicity fool you. The mirror is not vanity, it is visibility. It shows not only your form but your faith. And when the spoken word is paired with that reflection, the body remembers who it belongs to. You are not a pile of symptoms. You are not a diagnosis wrapped in skin. You are the living temple of the Most High. And every cell in that body hears the sound of your voice. It either contracts under fear or expands under truth. You choose the rhythm. You write the script, and now we write resurrection. Stand before the mirror. See the flesh. Yes, that back pain, that diagnosis, that wound, that anxiety. Do not hide it. Do not look away. And now say firmly, slowly as law, this body is light. Every cell hears me. God is in my blood. Say it again. This body is light. Every cell hears me. God is in my blood. Let the atmosphere change. This is not pretending. This is presenting. Presenting your physical form to the spiritual truth that governs it. Because the world told you that healing must come from pills or time. But I tell you, healing comes from recognition. You are not trying to become healthy. You are remembering that health is your inheritance. And the mirror, it is your witness. When Jesus called Lazarus from the tomb, he did not whisper. He did not wonder. He called with force. The same way you must now call every cell, every joint, every organ, every nerve back into divine order. Speak it. You are not broken. You are blessed. You are not decaying. You are divine. You are not dying. You are a door for resurrection. Feel the tingling. Feel the heat. That's not emotion. That is law responding. You don't have to scream. You don't have to beg. You only have to speak with knowing, because the body hears what the mind repeats. And when your reflection agrees, the body obeys. This is why the mirror is not glass. It is a place of resurrection. Look again, you are not sick. You are sacred. You are not failing. You are forming. And every day you speak healing into that mirror. Your body remembers who shaped it. Now say it one last time. This body is light. Every cell hears me. God is in my blood. And the mirror, it nods, it echoes. It confirms because it knows who you are now. There will come a day, perhaps it's today, when you stand before the mirror and find yourself unable to speak. The words won't rise, the throat tightens, blur. The silence feels like failure. But I tell you now that silence is not failure. That silence is sacred. Because when you cannot speak, the mirror will. If your heart is shattered, if grief has stolen your breath, if memory still clings like smoke in your lungs, come to the mirror anyway. Not to perform, not to push, but to be seen. You do not need eloquence. You do not need rhythm. You need only presence. Stand there in the stillness. Let the mirror hold you. Let it reflect the ache without flinching. It does not judge your pain. It does not rush your healing. The mirror is not your critic. It is your companion. And when you are ready, when the silence has wrapped you like a cloak, whisper this one phrase. Not loudly. Not perfectly, just faithfully. That's all. Let the tears fall. Let your knees shake. Let your soul lean. God is here. Say it again if you can. And if you can't, just breathe it. Let it ride on your breath like incense. Because the moment those words pass your lips, the mirror begins to speak. Not with sound, but with recognition, not with language, but with presence. And in that holy hush, you will feel it. Response. Your shoulders will soften. Your breath will deepen. Your chest will warm. and something ancient will rise. It is the voice that has always been beneath your pain, the voice that never left, the voice that says, I never abandoned you. I was just waiting for you to see me. In that moment, you will know. You don't have to force it. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to pretend. You only have to show up and whisper the truth. God is here. Then, when you're ready, speak again. Even just one line. I am not alone in this reflection. This face is not forsaken. This silence is sacred ground. And watch what happens. Watch how the atmosphere bends. Watch how strength begins to drip back into your voice. Because when you begin in stillness, when you begin with presence, the mirror does not stay silent for long. It begins to reflect back the truth you whispered, that even in your emptiness, even in your breaking, you are still divine. So if you cannot speak today, beloved, let the mirror go first. It remembers who you are, and it will remind you until your voice returns. You have heard the words. You have stood in the silence. You have seen yourself begin to return. Now I invite you not to join a movement, but to remember a rhythm, not to subscribe to a channel, but to subscribe to a practice. If these words awaken something within you, if the mirror no longer feels like glass, but like a gateway, if you feel the whisper of God beneath your own breath, then speak your first new line below. Leave a comment. Not for attention, not for show, but as a spiritual agreement. Write these words. I face the mirror and find God. Let this be your signature, your declaration. Let this be the line that breaks the old spell. Then subscribe not to me, but to the mirror itself, to the practice, to the pause, to the rhythm of looking, speaking, aligning, remembering. Because every day you return, the mirror grows more alive, and every word you speak becomes law. So return tomorrow and the next, until the face you see is no longer afraid, until your voice no longer shakes, until your own reflection says back to you, I knew you'd remember. Now go speak. Subscribe. Return to the mirror and walk in the image of the one who spoke you into form. Thank you.